this coffee break with Jimmy. Well, the day before Thanksgiving, I did a podcast, and I'll probably send it out today. But it does have some updates on it, some things on it that I wanted to talk about this girl that was went on a field trip with her class, and apparently she was supposed to share a room with a trans boy, trans girl, whatever you want to call it. It's an 11-year-old boy. Said she was a girl. Not a girl. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the guardsmen that were shot by this. Apparently, this is the updates. Apparently, this guy came from Washington, state of Washington, all the way to Washington D.C. And he lied in wait, I guess, for a couple of National Guardsmen to come out, and then he shot him. He shot Sarah Beckstrom. She eventually died yesterday, I believe, on Thanksgiving. And then there's Andrew Wolf. Sarah Beckstrom was a specialist, and Andrew Wolf was a staff sergeant in the Army and the National Guard. Anyway, she passed away yesterday. But still, pray for her and her family. And then pray for Andrew Wolf. He's still hanging on by a thread, I guess. He's, I guess this guy, it was an ambush. He ambushed him. He waited for him. He lied in wait and waited for him. And then when they came around the corner, there he was, and he shot him. And I don't know his guy's name. They've mentioned the guy's name, and I don't care what his name is. He's in Afghanistan. Apparently, at one time, he worked for the CIA, that's what they say. That he was helping out the military in Afghanistan at one time, but he's probably changed to the Taliban. This kind of stuff happens. Even President Trump said this kind of stuff happens. But they're of course they're blaming Trump, right? They got to blame Trump. It's all his fault because he had the National Guard in Washington D.C. and in Memphis, and they're trying to try to get law and order back in order. They're just helping out the police department. They're not in charge. They're just helping out the police departments. And they've done a good job. They've done a good job in Washington, D.C. They got a lot of the crime down and all aspects of crime. They got it down. And the same thing in Memphis. I guess they're working on it there. They're just getting the crime down over there. And Chicago will do wonders for Chicago and other big cities. But, of course, you have to let the governor and the mayors of those cities got to let them in. But now it's they're blaming Trump because I had in my other podcast, I mentioned that those what they have dubbed them the seditious six for sedition, when they're saying that you have to disobey all illegal orders coming from the commander in chief or any of your CEOs of your in the military. You're supposed to disobey those orders. Well, that's all part of when you sign up. You sign up and they'll tell you what you can do, what orders you are supposed to follow, and any illegal orders, and you'll know when they're illegal orders. It's just as good. It's like if you shoot somebody, or they want you to shoot somebody, and you're not having a war with them, and you just want you to go do something like that, or do something, give you an order that they want you to do something that's, this isn't legal, this isn't proper. Well, then you can go to your chain of command, and you can request not to do that, and that's the proper way of doing it. But to sit there and say that the commander in chief is giving them illegal orders, and they don't. In fact, every one of them, Kelly, all the rest of them that are on this, what they have dubbed the seditious six, none of them can answer the question what illegal orders were given. No one can answer that because there hasn't been any illegal orders given. And I still say it's still coincidence that this guy comes all the way from Washington to Washington, D.C. and shoots a couple of National Guardsmen. I think it probably has something to do with it, maybe. And, that's a maybe. That's my opinion. But I'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But now that this Sarah Beckwith, or Beckwith or Beckman, she passed away. And now it's going to be it's going to be, it's murder now, and he's going to stand trial, and he's probably going to get the death penalty because this is they killed a couple of our soldiers, or one of them anyway. Right now, this Wolf, he's not, he's still alive, but he's hanging on by a thread. It's Sergeant Wolf. But pray for him, please. But that's what's and now Trump has come out. Now President Trump has come in and said he's revoking all orders that people that have been here that's given green cards apparently from Afghanistan, Sudan, and other countries that's come over. And Biden and they want to blame Trump, but Trump Joe Biden is his administration that let them in. They didn't vet them properly. You can't call somebody on the phone and say, well, just you got to vet them in person. You got to see what their history is. And he didn't do any of that. And apparently now and it's going to be tough for them to get these people out of this country. But he's halting anybody coming from any of those countries. There's not going to be any immigration on their part. They're not going to be coming into our country now. And it's the right thing to do. Trump's doing the right thing. And I don't know. It's just that this is such a mess. And this guy, he's from Afghanistan, and he got radicalized. And apparently, it's pretty obvious to me that he got radicalized. And we don't know how many others that have got radicalized. I mentioned the other day, how Muslims have taken over all the minute marts, and how they've taken over the. We're not taking over, but they're working on taking over a lot of truck driving. They don't have they don't have a license, and President Trump has halted that. No more. I think 22,000 driver's licenses have been revoked. That they don't have. They didn't go to the school to get their driver's license. They can't speak any English. They can't read the road signs. And then you have a lot of people that have, I don't know. To me, when you have all these people that they own all the minute marts, and that's what a lot of people stop. They stop and get gas, get food, this and that. You never know what can happen there. You never know if anybody, if they want to set something up and destroy the minute marts, can kill a lot of people. And but now I got one here right around the corner from me. Good people. I deal with them all the time. Really nice guys. But you never know when they have that religion. They believe in the Quran, and this altogether different than our religion and the way we do things here in the United States. And if you come to the United States, you got to be acclimated to our ways. And a lot of them aren't. They'll say they are for the time being, but then they get radicalized like this guy did. And so we're going to see what happens there. But he will get the death penalty. I'm sure of it. He killed two of our military personnel, or one of them. Excuse me. Andrew Wolf is still alive, but he's hanging on by a thread. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on there with that, and hopefully, like I said, President Trump is. There was something else he did. Any presidential form that was signed by the auto pen, okay. They got all these orders that Joe Biden had signed. Now, there's not a whole lot you can do about the when they give them what is it called? Not a presidential order. It's called an executive order. All these executive orders, apparently there's like 172 executive orders, and there's some others that have been signed by the auto pen. and they, you know, they're going to be rescinded. They're not going to be upheld because they're signed by the auto pen. And he doesn't have, and any of them that aren't assigned by the auto, I mean, that are assigned by President Biden is saying that they can sign it by the auto pen. He's got to have proof of that. These are going to be rescinded. So there's going to be a lot of stuff done, and it's all come on the heels of this, you know, this assassination attempts on these two and one on the National Guard. Sarah, like I said, Sarah Beckwith, she died, and but Andrew still, he's still hanging on. This is all. I mean, this and the Democrats, they blame President Trump for this when Joe Biden's the one that let them in. Joe Biden's the one that allowed them to come in from, like I said, from other Middle East countries, and they're saying they were helping. They were vetted. They weren't vetted. If they were vetted, they wouldn't have let this guy in. That's for sure. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So anyhow, this is Coffee Break with Jimmy. Please subscribe. And this is a quick one, but I just wanted to clarify on my other podcast that there's some updates, and I don't know if the seditious six that committed sedition, you know, Joe Kelly and these other congressmen and senators that they, like I said, they can't answer the question what unlawful orders were given. I wanted to clear that up a little bit, but it's still, you never know. It still might have something to do with it. You know, that's my opinion. But please subscribe, hit that notification bell, share, press like. And I'll see you next time on Coffee Break with Jimmy. Thanks.